Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to another lecture in the sequence of the course Monetary and Fiscal Framework in Islamic Finance. I think you have memorized the code. The course code is MBF 707 and this lecture series is coming from the ComSats Institute of Information Technology Virtual Campus Islamabad. Students, we are almost in the afternoon of this course, and this course is to be completed in the next 2-3 lectures. After this lecture, there will be a series of 2 lectures, a sum-up series, which we will divide into 2 components or 2 parts according to the title of the course. So please, after this lecture, when you watch the lecture videos of the subsequent 2 lectures, please make sure that you have done with all these 3, all the previous lectures, so that when you attend the last 2 video lectures, you should be able to sum up, you should be able to recall your concepts which you have learned during the course of this subject. So, in today's lecture, our focus is again the financial system and monetary policy in an Islamic economy. Today, we will try to conclude it with certain solution to the model which we discussed in the last 2-3 lectures. The topics therefore will be covered, the topics which we have already covered in the sequence of financial system and monetary policy and theoretical and the development of theoretical model. We studied in the last lecture the structure of the model in monetary policy, the significance of the banking sector and how banking sector will be termed as in the Islamic monetary system. The banks will not function on their conventional pattern, rather the banks will be functioning either as joint stock company or as the investment modes or the investment avenues. The central banking, we discussed the significance of central banking and how central bank will be able to manage monetary policy in the economy with the help of the commercial banks, and then the role of public sector in the running of monetary policy, some behavioral relationship we discussed, and our special focus was on the development of a theoretical model wherein the central bank, which is in fact the major custodian of monetary policy, will function in Islamic framework, particularly when there is need for the contractionary monetary policy, how central bank of the country in Islamic economy will float different types of certificates which are permissible in accordance with the Islamic principles, and how central bank manage the policy when there is a need to apply contractionary monetary expansionary monetary policy. In lieu of expansionary monetary policy, the central bank of the country will be buying back its certificates through the financial institutions, from the financial institutions and through the financial institutions. So in continuation of the monetary policy model in Islamic framework, and moving towards the conclusion part of the topic in terms of monetary policy. We are now in today's lecture, our focus will be on the solution to the model, and we'll also deliberate some important findings and the conclusions from our discussion regarding monetary policy. Regarding fiscal policy, we have already done significantly in the development of fiscal policy. We discussed different models, and then we discussed how fiscal policy can function very strongly in the pursuit of the objectives and the goals of an Islamic economy. So, according to the agenda of discussion, we are now at the solution of the model, the theoretical model which we deliberated in the last two lectures. Solution of the model suggests the authorities wish to control the money supply itself, and following this, consider an alternative case where ceilings are placed in murabha financing. Now this ceiling credit in conventional banking system, we use credit ceiling to control money supply, to manage money supply. If we want to increase money supply, this credit ceiling is extended, and more loans are made available for the business sector by financial institutions. And when there is need to apply contractionary factors on the quantity of money, or when money supply is to be contracted, what happens? The credit ceiling is reduced, or in other words, a cap is placed on the distribution of credit. So by reducing the amount of credit, the money supply can be decreased, and by increasing the credit ceiling, by increasing the cap, which means that less credit can be made available to the public, this can be managed. So this is how monetary policy can be managed. I repeat, if in a quick explanation, if there was something wrong, let me reiterate again. Credit ceiling means to what extent the borrowing can be arranged for the clients in the conventional system. So if more credits are distributed, this would increase the money supply. If less credits are distributed, this will decrease the money supply. But in Islamic framework, obviously this interest-based credit ceiling will not be a successful or an advisable policy. In Islamic framework, we introduced and discussed in detail different types of modes of finance and the certificates based on these modes of finance. For example, Mudarba, Musharaka, financing arrangement, issuing different certificates. So by issuing more certificates will decrease the money supply, and by withdrawing certificates from the economy will increase the money supply. Then another perspective on the solution side of the intermediate target of monetary policy is the total money supply. Then if the objective is increase quantity of money in the economy, then this can be achieved by changing the reserves of the banks. And how reserves of the banks can be changed, we have discussed. Again, according to the economic objectives at large, which are associated with the social well-being or the welfare or achieving the objective of welfare of the general public, the central bank of the country, while pursuing the objectives of the goals of the Islamic State, can increase or decrease the reserves requirement of the banks, and that reserve requirements of the bank, of course, will be associated with the buying and the selling of the certificates or changing the profit ratio distributable among the shareholders, wherein the shareholders can be the central bank or the commercial banks, or the banks and the clients or the partners who are in fact working in partnership with the commercial banks. So it's a matter of indifference as to whether the authorities attempt to influence monetary conditions through changing the money supply or use the flow of mudarba financing as an intermediate objective. But this objective intuitively is linked with the objective of the Islamic State at large. Because at times the objective of the Islamic State is to expand, for example, certain type of projects in the economy, which may be for the economic goods or the goods which are socially desirable, for example, the education institutions, the hospitals, or the other projects like such type of welfare, such type of projects, or the objective of expansion of the health and education has already been achieved. Now there is objective to develop some other projects which are intuitively required for the business enterprise, for the promotion of business activities in the economy, for the linkage of the Islamic economy with the rest of the world, as a new situation is being created in Asia, for example, surrounding Pakistan. All the countries are, the bigger countries are growing at a faster rate. So Pakistan, being the corridor, needs to develop the infrastructure facilities to the traders, whereby the government of Pakistan can launch various projects in the best interest of the community living in Pakistan, most of whom are the believer in the oneness of Allah and the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So in accordance with the changing emphasis on different projects, the Islamic State can introduce different options, and Islamic State can pass on its objectives to the central bank of the country, which will enjoy autonomy in an Islamic State. But autonomy does not mean it will function on its own way, independent of the objectives of the Islamic State. Now, in the pursuit of these objectives, the central bank of the country will decide about the credit ceiling. On the pattern of credit ceiling, it may introduce mudarba financing schemes. It may change the distribution of profit, or the proportion by which the profit is distributed among the shareholders, and different other types of certificates can also be issued. For example, the mudarba certificates, murabba based certificates, and if necessary, the central bank of the country with the development of consortium of the commercial banks, can also develop a fund, a joint fund. And this joint fund will not only facilitate the business enterprises in the local market, but it can also provide funds for different projects in the Muslim countries or in the growing economies like China, India, and some other countries which are fastly growing and which are now capturing a greater share of the Asian economy. In an open economy with fixed exchange rate, the money supply can no longer be treated as an exogenous policy instrument, as is the case in a conventional economic system. But here the balance of payments will determine which are basically the which actually present the market orientation. If there is more demand for Pakistani products, the exports are likely to increase and the currency is likely to be, and the currency will be revalued. But if it is market linked, then the currency will automatically appreciate it. And on the other side, if the demand for the products of Islamic State decline in the international market, then the currency of the Islamic State is likely to be either devalued or automatically by the market forces it will be depreciated. Now here the Islamic State, the central bank of the country, on behalf of the Islamic State, will make sure that no speculative forces are involved or engaged in the depreciation or the appreciation of the currency of the Islamic State. Dear students, there is also debate over the type of currency which is to be issued in an Islamic State. Some of the economists, Islamic economists, are of the view that in order to avoid cheating or gharar to the maximum possible extent, the Islamic State should get rid of this fiat money, this legal tender, which is not backed by which is not asset backed. It is simply a promise from the state by the authority of the state. The currency which we are currently using is part and parcel of the economic activities. So some Islamic economists are of the view that it is better to introduce the metal currency, the currency, the product type, commodity type currency, whose face value and the intrinsic value are identical. So dear students, still the Islamic banking system is in the move and it is still in the making, and gradually it will try to it will address the economic issues of an Islamic economy, inshallah. But people are concentrating, people are developing different Islamic products which can be better utilized by the central bank of the country, by the commercial banks of the country, by the consortium of the banks. So I think consortium, the concept of consortium of the banks along with the central bank of the country would be a wonderful idea. It will give better solution to a number of financial constraints which are confronted by even Islamic State or the local business enterprises, and the consortium of the banks can joint venture in launching various projects. And these projects may include from small scale projects to the mega projects, for example the dams or the energy projects, or even the on the istisna basis, this consortium of banks in the guideline of Central Bank of the country can meet the need of providing manufacturing, the airlines, even aeroplanes, even for the state or the private consortium of the business enterprises. So consortium to consortium, the linkage of the economic activities can help economy grow at a faster rate. For example, if state is facing the financial constraints to buy more planes, for example, these days in Pakistan, the issue of the problem faced by the mega, the big sector, for example, airlines, railways, PIA and Pakistan Railways, they are facing a lot of problems. They are facing a lot of constraints. So that is why, because of the financial constraints, they are unable to revive these sectors, although some loans are being provided to the PIA and Pakistan Railways to revive these two sectors. But I suggest, and then at the same time, the private groups are also investing in the airline business, and even some of the parties are interested to invest in the railways. But I think there's a huge investment, bears great risk associated with the projects. So for this, in order to minimize risk, in order to shifting risk over a number of parties, the risk sharing or the participatory type investment can be undertaken. And for this purpose, I suggest a solution. The solution is that there should be a consortium of the business enterprises who can start, who can launch their joint venture in the revival of the airlines in Pakistan, in the revival of the Pakistan Railways, wherein the 2, 3 or 4 or big parties can make a consortium, a group to launch a joint business activities on the basis of partnership, and wherein it can also be a combination of both Musharaka and Mudarba, and the funds even can be provided by the consortium of the banks, and the Central Bank of the country can play a leading role in the development of these consortium in the country, in the economy. And I think this will be a bigger pool in mitigating the risk in the economy, and this would help revive the mega sectors, the big sectors of the economy, like Pakistan Railways, Pakistan International Airlines, and some energy related projects even can be launched with the consortium of the business enterprises or the experts. Now, on the in the chain of the development of these projects, even some of the consortium of the experts can also engage themselves. For example, the experts on the engineering side, the electrical engineering side, on the mechanical engineering side, and some of the economists who are good in the management and the development of the feasibilities. They can also provide their services to the consortium. They can also become the part of business consortium. And I think, according to my understanding, this is my view, that the consortium of the business enterprise, instead of individual venture, individual efforts should be launched. And on the other side, the Islamic funds can also be established with the help of consortium of the commercial banks under the umbrella of the Central Bank of the country, which will enjoy a lot of autonomy. And but for this purpose, I would add one more thing. The Central Bank of the country obviously is the place where the leading economists are employed, and if they are not, the Central Bank should take initiative to employ the experts. But I'm sure, and I know for the last 15-20 years in Pakistan, the State Bank of Pakistan has gone through a number of revolutionary steps and now the economist most of the time had been heading this leading institution, and now the functioning of the central bank of the country has also improved over the years. Now central bank of the country enjoys autonomy to a greater significance. There is a research section, there is data section, there is policy section, and different units of specialization have been established in the Central Bank of Pakistan. So they can also establish a cell where the Sharia experts can be considered on board in order to guide the economist if they face any fake constraint. For example, if they face the constraint in the understanding of different financial products, in the sense whether these new financial products are in accordance with the principles of Islam or not, the Sharia board can be brought on board, and the Sharia experts can become the part and parcel of different committees which decide different financial products, and the products which can be launched by can be introduced by the State Bank of Pakistan through the consortium of commercial banks or through the initiatives of some of the volunteer commercial banks in the country. So the structure, the solution which I am suggesting, that central bank, the significance of the central bank has increased these days. I think in the central bank needs to have different sections and different departments employing the experts of different specialization, and additionally the central bank of the country should also employ the services of the lawyers and the fiqh expert, the religious scholars. And these religious scholars and the experts in the Islamic law and Islamic Sharia, in collaboration with the experts in the conventional economic system and the financial system, can contribute a lot towards the development of different financial products. Now coming to this is time to conclude the monetary policy which we had been discussing for the last couple of lectures. So students, the establishment of an economic system based on Islamic values requires fundamental changes in the operations of financial institutions. This is the first step in an Islamic state. So just establishment of the financial institutions on the pattern of Islamic financial system with the provision of Islamic modes of finance cannot be a successful policy until unless the economic system is modified and this economic system is developed in a way that it supports the introduction and the implementation of the Islamic financial system in the country. So for this purpose, some fundamental changes have to be made in the economy, and these fundamental changes require the development of constitution, including the Islamic laws, which ensure that no economic or no social policy will be promulgated against the Islamic principles or the teachings of Quran and Sunnah. So for this purpose, only financial development and the establishment of financial institution is not the final solution. There must be a system supporting these financial institutions which are running or which plan to run their business activities in accordance with the Islamic modes of finance. Profit sharing or equity participation have to be developed to replace the interest-based transactions. This is another recommendation for the Islamic monetary system and the monetary policy in Islamic framework, that instead of fixed return-based interest system, alternative modes of finance should be introduced, and they should be effectively introduced. Obviously, if the economic system of the country is not supportive for the equity-based or the participatory-based investment avenues, this cannot function successfully, and there is need for introducing the profit and loss sharing equity-based system in the economy by the financial institutions, which will replace the existing interest-based or fixed earning-based system, wherein there's a lot of pessimism and there is less optimism, because in the interest-based system, the financier is least concerned as to the utilization of finances for different projects. He has no concern as to the allocation of funds for halal products or haram products. His only concern is receiving the fixed interest which is paid by the borrowers. In Islamic financial system, there will be profit loss sharing, and basically this is the risk sharing system, where the risk is not borne by one party. All the parties involved in the economic activities or the financial transactions participate not only in profit but also in sharing loss if there is any loss. Students, depositors receive a share of the profit which is made by the bank. Instead of rate of interest, the banks in turn receive the rate of return based on profit. This is what I explained. Islamic financial system replaces the debt financing by equity financing. So instead of debt financing, the main focus will be on equity financing, and in this equity financing, the certificates can be issued mudarba based, muraba based, mutual fund based. Certificates can be issued which people can purchase, the small investors can purchase less number of shares and certificates, mudarba certificates or the musharaka certificates, and the big investors can purchase more shares and the certificates, whereby they can provide funds. Students, we also deliberated the conventional ISLM framework, and one of the view which we discussed was of Mohsin Khan, who developed his model on the pattern of ISLM, and we discussed that in Islamic financial system, if we are implementing the monetary policy in accordance with the principles of Islam, perhaps the curves, the diagram will not look like IS or LM. And as I explained, IS in conventional framework represent the goods market, and the LM represent the money market equilibrium. So basically ISLM is the representation of the general equilibrium in the economy, wherein not only the goods market is in the form of equilibrium, but the money market is also in the form of equilibrium. Yes, this is the objective of the Islamic State, that an equilibrium is to be achieved, but this general equilibrium will not be on the pattern of comparative static analysis. The approach in in an Islamic state, the approach of monetary policy coupled with the fiscal policy will be of more dynamic type rather than comparative static type. So dynamic type approach. When I say a dynamic type approach, it means we will look at the macroeconomic variables moving towards the target level, whether they are moving towards the target level, whether the projects which we have launched are boosting the economy towards the objective which we want to achieve in the economy, the goals which we want to achieve in an Islamic economy, or they are deviating from the objective level equilibrium. It means on the pattern of the dynamic analysis of the equilibrium, our focus in an Islamic financial system will be a particular solution which determines the objective and the target level, which is set in accordance with the Islamic principles, and then setting the target, we will see whether the economic variables are converging from this particular solution or the particular goal, or they are diverting from it. So if they are diverting, then the system can be modified and policy measures can be taken, and certain types of consortium can be developed, the Islamic funds can be utilized so that the macroeconomic variables move in the right direction to achieve the convergence. So students, in order to achieve the convergence, which is the dynamic approach of finding equilibrium solution, what will happen? The central bank of the country can play a very important role, wherein the central bank of the country can take the initiative of issuing certificates, buying back certificates, or some other options which we have discussed. So the conclusion is it will not be ISLM type equilibrium, which is more comparative static in nature. Islamic economy will be of more dynamic equilibrium instead of static. So in achieving the dynamic equilibrium, the state, central bank of the country, and the consortium of businesses, all of them will be on one page to achieve the particular solution value, which is in fact the goal set by the state or all the stakeholders. And if there is divergence from this particular solution value, the measures will be taken by all the stakeholders, those who are playing their part on fiscal policy and those who are playing their part on the monetary policy, and those who are on the ground functioning as business enterprises. The authorities can achieve the very same results through controlling the supply of profit-based bank lending as they can through variation in the total money supply. So all these macroeconomic variables will be utilized, as I mentioned earlier. If the system is diverging from the particular solution, the targeted variables will be modified accordingly. And if the system is moving towards the convergence, when I say convergence, it means the targeted goals or the targeted objectives. So students, now an expansionary monetary policy would reduce the rate of that I have already explained how uncertainties can be controlled if yes. Let me explain it again in the perspective that I have already explained, that expansionary policy or contractionary policy, this will be the decision by the authority, by the monetary authorities, in accordance with the actual movement of the macroeconomic variables. So if macroeconomic variables are on the divergence from our objective and the goal, then the modification will be in place. And if we are moving, if the macroeconomic variables are moving or converging towards the equilibrium or the goal or the particular solution value which has been the target of the state and the economic stakeholders of the country, Islamic State, then it will be a matter of satisfaction, and the policy will continue to prevail. And just to remind you, when I say particular solution or the objective of the state, we have discussed in our earlier lectures that the objectives of the Islamic State are multidimensional, multi-purpose, multidimensional. It is not only, the purpose is not only to promote profit earning activities in the economy, rather the first and the utmost duty of the Islamic State is to achieve the goal of providing basic necessities to all the people living in the state, and then after having achieved this goal of providing basic necessities such as food, shelter, clothing, the Islamic State will ensure that these facilities are gradually improved. Or in the pursuit of the amelioration of these basic necessities, the Islamic State can take different measures, and the policy makers, the government departments, they can be given a task to achieve the goals of Islamic State. And in Islamic State, the private ownership is very clearly allowed. There is no restriction, there is no bar on, there is no upper limit on the ownership of assets, on the launching of any business activity, until and unless something is going out of the Islamic limits. So that is why the GDP in an Islamic economy is defined as, it is the market value of all halal final goods and services produced in the economy. When we say halal, it means number one, the goods which are permissible according to the Islamic teachings, and the transactions which are permissible according to the Islamic modes of finance or Islamic principles. So in both perspectives, sometimes the goods are permissible but the transactions are not permissible. So the goals of Islamic State is to ensure that the goods are permissible and the transactions are permissible, and for this purpose, if there is need to develop infrastructure or develop a framework of regulations, this is the utmost duty of the Islamic State to provide this framework of Islamic regulations to ensure that the goals of the Islamic State are achieved. So student, now we will discuss some of the limitations associated with the model which was suggested by Mohsin Khan. The role of expectations, particularly as economic decision in an Islamic financial system, rely heavily on the expected rate of return and the expected profit. The expected rate of return and expected profit. The question is, if the real profit and the real return is diverted from the expected rate of return and the expected profit, then what? This is the question. Now for this purpose, if there is deviation, in case there is deviation of the actual profit and the actual rate of return from the expected one, then the system should be ready to provide a remedy. Because if this planning is missing at the time of diversion from the expected profit, then there may be chances of default, there may be the problems may arise in the economic activities and in the achievement of the business and the economic goals in an Islamic state. And for this purpose, as I mentioned very clearly, some dynamic approach and the dynamic behavior will be needed to understand how the system should move towards the equilibrium if the system is out of the equilibrium. Interaction of the real sector finance and the financing of the fiscal deficit need to understand by the government. So there is a need for the complete coordination between the fiscal side of the economy and the monetary side of the economy. And for this better coordination, the right people at the right place for the right job is the need of the time, and it will be ensured in particular in Islamic State. And for this purpose, as I mentioned earlier, even in the State Bank of the country, in Central Bank of the country, in different departments of specialization, the specialist people would be hired, and in complete coordination of the different departments of the central bank, the policy goals can be achieved more dynamically than before. There are many macroeconomic issues that are as yet unresolved. In an Islamic state, in order to complete the model of monetary and fiscal policy, still a lot of work is needed to be done, and more products are needed to be developed, and additionally the system is needed to provide legal framework so that if some business ventures are launched in accordance with the Islamic principles, they should have complete security and protection. And I think either complete surgery in the economic system will be needed, or at least if some initiatives are taken by the business enterprises in the line of Islamic framework, at least they should have been protected by the state, so that the confidence of the investors, the confidence of the people is built, and more people join hands with the Islamic modes of finance or the business enterprises which are being run in accordance with the principles of Islam. And for this purpose, complete Islamization of the economy is needed, and if complete Islamization of the economy is not done, then the two systems, one conventional and the other Islamic, will be functioning parallel to each other, and there is least chance of complete coordination and collaboration between the two, because the dynamics of the two systems are totally different from each other. The Islamic enterprises function their own way, and the conventional system has its own regulations and the needs, and they have their own system of financial flows, whereas the financial flows and the financial activities in an Islamic framework is totally different. So students, theoretical analysis and the actual experimentation is required to reconcile the rules and the codes of the economic behavior that have evolved over 1400 years with the functioning of the modern day economy. So economists still have much to contribute concerning the directions that the Islamization of economies takes. So students, before we conclude this session, let us very quickly view what we have done in this lecture. And so we will not review only this lecture, because this lecture is in the sequence of 3-4 lectures which were related to the monetary policy in an Islamic economy. So students, in an Islamic economy, the framework of monetary policy needs to be developed, and for this purpose there is a need to understand the Islamic modes of finance. We have already discussed different Islamic modes of finance. The leading Islamic modes of finance are Mudarba and Musharaka, and they are the leading modes of finance, but they are not the only modes of finance in Islamic framework. In modern day, now we in the new framework, in the new wave of move of development in Asia, there is a need to develop different financial products in an Islamic perspective. And Alhamdulillah, during the last 30-35 years, we have developed sufficient number of Islamic modes of finance, and these Islamic modes of finance now can be can made the part of the monetary policy in coordination with the fiscal policy of the country. And just to mention a few, istisna is one of the most important modes of financing which has been introduced as a mode of finance. This can be very useful nowadays in the Islamic economies. One of them is obviously the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. In istisna, the product can be manufactured on the request of the client according to the specification given by the client, and then this product can be handed over to the client, for which the payment is either made in one unit or it is made in different units which are known as the installments. The installments extended over different time periods. And this istisna, as I mentioned earlier, can be used not only by the private individuals, but also by the private business enterprises. Even the state can benefit from the introduction and the implementation of the istisna as a mode of finance. Students, we also discussed Murabaha. Murabaha is very important, although it was a sale contract, but it has been developed as a Murabaha and Muajjal and istisna and some other modes of finance which have been introduced. They are now functioning as modes of finance, although some of them are simply the sale transaction or they are simply sale contract. Yeah, Ijara is another modes of finance which has been introduced. So, and these are the individual arrangements or the business enterprises arrangements with the financial institutions. But when we make these modes of finance as part and parcel of the monetary and the fiscal policy, we can issue certificates which are known as the Musharaka certificate or Mudarba certificate, Istisna certificates, and Murabaha certificates. So the different types of certificates can be issued by the financial institutions, by the central bank of the country. So students, we discussed how as to the structure of the monetary policy in an Islamic framework, wherein the commercial banks will not be functioning on their traditional pattern. The commercial banks will be functioning as investment institution. And some of the Islamic economists suggest that the Islamic banks will be functioning as the joint stock companies. Well, whatever, if both the options are available, I think some of the financial institutions can perform the role of even joint stock companies, and the others can function as the investment entities. The point is how to achieve the goals of an economy in accordance with the principles of Islam. So if we want to promote the Islamic banking system, any method which is conducive for the achievement of these goals is an acceptable mode or acceptable way. لیکن اس سارے پرپس کے لیے یعنی اسلامائزیشن آف اکانومی کے لیے، مانیٹری سسٹم کو اسلامائز کرنے کے لیے، مانیٹری سسٹم کے اندر یہ جو انٹرسٹ کی بیماری ہے اس کو ریپلیس کرنے کے لیے ایک ول پاور چاہیے. نمبر 2 ایک لیگل فریم ورک چاہیے. نمبر 3 پوری اکانومی، پورا سسٹم جو ہے وہ اس کو سپورٹ کرے. تو یہ کیسے ہو سکتا ہے؟ اس کے لیے ظاہر ہے کہ ایک اسلامی ملک میں تو یہ یقینی طور پہ یہ پاسبل ہے اور یہ کیا جا سکتا ہے. اور یہاں جیسے پاکستان کے کانسٹیٹیوشن میں یہ لکھا ہے کہ کوئی بھی قانون اسلام کے خلاف نہیں ہو سکتا، کوئی قانون کی شک اسلام کے خلاف نہیں ہو سکتی. تو if this is the case تو پھر پاکستان میں اسلامک بینکنگ سسٹم کو لانچ کرنا میرا خیال ہے کوئی مشکل نہیں ہے، اگر اس کے لیے جو ہمارے حکمران ہیں ان کی سپورٹ حاصل ہو، جو ہمارے لیڈنگ انسٹیٹیوشنز ہیں جیسے سینٹرل بینک آف دا کنٹری، منسٹری آف فائنانس، پلاننگ ڈویژن، جو اکنامک اور فائنینشیل ایکٹیویٹیز کو کوآرڈینیٹ کرتے ہیں، پروموٹ کرتے ہیں، پروجیکٹس بناتے ہیں، پروجیکٹس امپلیمنٹ کرتے ہیں. اگر ان کو اس بات کی سمجھ ہو کہ اسلامک موڈز آف فائنانس کے فوائد کتنے ہیں، اس میں رسک ڈسٹریبیوشن کس طریقے سے ایک بہت بڑے نقصان سے بچاتی ہے اور کس طرح سے یہ ایک پرائس اسٹیبلٹی اکانومی کے اندر لے کے آتا ہے، تو میرا خیال ہے کہ پھر اس کی سکسیس میں کوئی رکاوٹ نہیں ہو سکتی. اس لیے سلوشن کے لیے کچھ ہم نے آپشن ڈسکس کیے کہ کیا سلوشن ہو سکتے ہیں. میں نے اس میں ایک آپشن یہ بھی دیا کہ گورنمنٹ کے ملینز آف پروجیکٹس ہوتے ہیں. اسی طرح فائنینشیل انسٹیٹیوشنز کے پاس اگرچہ بہت بڑے فنڈز ہوتے ہیں لیکن فائنینشیل انسٹیٹیوشن مل کر اس سے بھی ایک بڑا اسلامک فنڈ قائم کر سکتے ہیں کنسورشیم کے نام سے، جو نہ صرف اسلامک اسٹیٹ کے اندر یعنی ایک ملک کے اندر بڑے بڑے پروجیکٹس لگا سکتا ہے بلکہ یہ فارن فنڈنگ بھی پرووائڈ کر سکتا ہے فار دی ڈیولپمنٹ آف ڈفرینٹ پروجیکٹس ان ڈفرینٹ اسلامک کنٹریز اور ایون ان دا کنٹریز وچ آر گروئنگ اکانومیز. جیسے میں نے مثال دی پاکستان کے لیے یہ بالکل پاسبل ہے کہ اگر پاکستان کے فائنینشیل انسٹیٹیوشنز جو ہیں ایک کنسورشیم بنا کر کے پاکستان کی پروجیکٹس کی نیڈ کو پورا کر سکتے ہیں، بلکہ چائنا، انڈیا اور دیگر ممالک میں مڈل ایسٹ میں بھی اپنے پروجیکٹس لانچ کر سکتے ہیں، بزنس انٹرپرائزز کو سپورٹ کر سکتے ہیں. اسی طرح اس بات کی ضرورت ہے کہ کچھ ایکسپرٹس گورنمنٹ لیول پہ یا پرائیویٹ لیول پہ مل کے ایک بزنس کنسورشیم بلڈ کریں اور اس کنسورشیم میں کہ باقاعدہ مشارکہ سرٹیفکیٹس ہوں یا اور ڈفرینٹ ناموں سے سرٹیفکیٹس ہوں جو ایشو کیے جائیں، لوگ انویسٹ کریں اور بڑے بڑے پروجیکٹس جو ہیں وہ سٹارٹ ہوں اور اس طریقے سے اکانومی کو ایک بگ پش ملے. تو اسٹوڈنٹس پھر ہم نے اور بھی ڈفرینٹ اس کے کچھ سلوشن ہم نے ڈسکس کیے کہ ان مشکل حالات میں اگرچہ بہت کچھ کنٹریبیوٹ ہو چکا ہے ود دی نیم آف اسلامک بورڈز آف فائنانس، ڈفرینٹ اسلامک انسٹیٹیوشن اسٹیبلش ہو چکی ہیں، مختلف اسلامی ملکوں میں کام کر رہے ہیں، لیکن ابھی بھی بہت کچھ ہونا باقی ہے. ابھی بھی ہمارے پاس جو مثلاً انٹرنیشنل فائنانشل سسٹم کے اندر ابھی بھی اسلامک اکانومسٹ کو کنٹریبیوٹ کرنے کی ضرورت ہے، کیونکہ انٹرنیشنل جو لیول کی ٹرانزیکشنز ہیں اس میں ابھی تک کوئی بہت زیادہ سگنیفیکنٹ کنٹریبیوشن نہیں ہوا. یہاں اسلامک اکانومسٹ کو میرا خیال ہے آگے بڑھ کے اس طرف توجہ دینی چاہیے اور کوئی ایسا سسٹم ڈیولپ کیا جائے کہ انٹرنیشنل ٹرانزیکشنز میں چونکہ ڈیلیز ہوتی ہیں کیونکہ پروڈکٹ ڈیلیوری کے ایشوز ہوتے ہیں، ان کے ایل سی کے ایشوز ہیں، اس میں کرنسی کی فلکچویشن کے ایشوز ہیں. تو یہ جو فارن ایکسچینج رسک ایک بہت بڑا ایریا ہے، اس میں ابھی تک کوئی بہت سگنیفیکنٹ کنٹریبیوشن ہمیں نظر نہیں آتا. کچھ تھیوریٹیکل پیپر یقینی طور پر ڈسکس ہوئے ہیں اور انہوں نے اس کو کوشش کی ہے ڈسکس کرنے کی، لیکن اس میں ابھی بھی بہت بڑا کام کرنے کی ضرورت ہے. اور ان سب چیزوں کے لیے میرا خیال ہے کوئی رکاوٹ نہیں ہے، صرف اور صرف ایک انیشیٹو لینے کی ضرورت ہے. اور الحمدللہ اب تو کچھ انٹرنیشنل لیول پہ اسلامک انسٹیٹیوشنز بھی اسٹیبلش ہوئے ہیں جو سپورٹ کرتے ہیں اسلامک موڈز آف فائنانس کو اور ایسی ایکٹیویٹیز کو جس میں پارٹیسپیٹری ٹائپ انویسٹمنٹ ہو. اس میں یقینی طور پر اسلامک ریسرچ اینڈ ٹریننگ انسٹیٹیوٹ جدہ کا ایک بہت بڑا کنٹریبیوشن ہے. اس میں اسلامک ڈیولپمنٹ بینک جدہ کا ایک کنٹریبیوشن ہے اور بہت سارے مختلف ادارے ہیں جو ملیشیا میں کام کر رہے ہیں. ملیشیا میں پرائیویٹ سیکٹر کے کچھ فائنینشیل انسٹیٹیوشنز ہیں جو بڑے بڑے انیشیٹوز لے رہے ہیں، لیکن ابھی بھی کام ہونا باقی ہے. دنیا میں ابھی بھی اسلامک ورلڈ میں ابھی بھی کسی کنٹری کو دیکھ کر یہ نہیں کہا جا سکتا کہ یہ ایک رول ماڈل ہے اور اس کو ہم فالو کر کے کسی دوسرے ملک میں سملر ماڈل جو ہے وہ رن کر سکتے ہیں. اس کے لیے یقیناً کام کرنے کی ضرورت ہے اور یقینی طور پر جو سرمایہ کار ہیں وہ سرمایہ بھی لگانا چاہتے ہیں، لیکن ہمارے ایکسپرٹس جو ہے ان سے میری درخواست ہے کہ وہ اس فیلڈ میں کام کریں، لوگوں کو اویئرنیس دیں، اسمال اسکیل بزنسز سٹارٹ کر کے لارج اسکیل کی طرف لے کر کے جائیں اور کنسورشیم بنائیں. کنسورشیم میں ایک تو رسک شیئر ہوتا ہے، دوسرا سرمایہ بڑے پیمانے پر اویلیبل ہوتا ہے اور فائنانشیل کنسٹرینٹ جو ہے وہ فائنانشیل کنسٹرینٹ منیمائز ہو جاتی ہیں، جس کی وجہ سے آپ بڑے بڑے پروجیکٹس لگا سکتے ہیں جو کہ کسی بھی اکانومی کی بڑی ضرورت کو پورا کر سکتے ہیں. آج کل انرجی کا ایک بہت بڑا کرائسس ہے اور اس کرائسس کو میرا خیال ہے کہ اگر کنسورشیم آف دی بزنس انٹرپرائزز جس میں یقینی طور پر انجینئرز بھی ہوں، بزنس مین بھی ہوں، انویسٹرز بھی ہوں اور وہ لوگ ہوں جن کا ایکسپیرینس ہے اس فیلڈ میں، دوسری طرف فائنانشل انسٹیٹیوشنز کا ایک کنسورشیم ہو جس کو گائیڈ لائن مہیا کی جائے اسٹیٹ بینک یا سینٹرل بینک آف دا کنٹری کی طرف سے جہاں ہر قسم کے اسپیشلسٹ اور ایکسپرٹس بیٹھے ہوں جو ماڈل بلڈنگ میں مدد کرتے ہوں، اور دوسری طرف اسٹیٹ کی طرف سے ایک ریگولیٹری فریم ورک ہو. تو میرا خیال ہے انہی الفاظ کے ساتھ میں یہاں ختم کروں گا کہ اس سے نہ صرف پاکستان کے بڑے بڑے مسائل حل ہو سکتے ہیں، اگر دنوں میں نہیں تو مہینوں میں یا چند ایک سالوں میں یہ مسائل حل ہو سکتے ہیں. اور پاکستان میں جس میں انکم انیکوالٹیز بہت زیادہ ہے، انکم انیکوالٹیز کو ریڈیوس کیا جا سکتا ہے، پاورٹی کو ختم نہیں تو کم ضرور کیا جا سکتا ہے اس طرح امپلائمنٹ اپرچونٹیز کریٹ کر کے. ظاہر ہے جب بڑے بڑے کنسورشیم کام کر رہے ہوں گے، بڑے چھوٹے بڑے سب پروجیکٹس لگ رہے ہوں گے، تو یقینی طور پہ امپلائمنٹ اپرچونٹیز پیدا ہوں گی. تو اسٹوڈنٹس، انہی الفاظ کے ساتھ میں یہاں سم اپ کرتا ہوں. انشاءاللہ اگلے لیکچر میں آپ سے پھر ملاقات ہوگی. جیسے میں نے لیکچر کے شروع میں کہا کہ ہمارے اگلے 2 لیکچرز جو ہوں گے اس میں ہم سم اپ کریں گے. میں بریف کروں گا آپ کو کہ ہم نے اس پورے کورس میں کیا پڑھا اور کس طریقے سے ہم نے ڈفرینٹ ٹاپکس کو لنک کیا، کور کیا. It will be a sort of revision of what we have done so far during the semester or during the focus of this course, during the studying this course, monetary policy and fiscal policy in Islamic framework. تو انہی الفاظ کے ساتھ اللہ حافظ. See you next time. السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ.